If you work hard and make a profit, should you be punished? North Dakota Democratic Senate Budget Committee Chairman Kent Conrad thinks so. He's drafted a proposal in the Senate Democratic 2012 budget to put a 3% surtax on those earning more than $1 million a year. Here to discuss are my freedom fighters, Fox Business anchor and my colleague Cheryl Casoni, America's Future Foundation Chair Camille Foster, and radio host and Freedom Watch regular Nancy Skinner. Skinner, to you first. I know what you think. You think that just because somebody is rich doesn't mean they're productive, and that because they're rich, they're probably lazy, and therefore the government should take some of their wealth away from them, right?
I didn't say that, but the assumption always is the productive rich. And, you know, the fact is productivity is really an economic number based on how much units you get out per worker. There are lots of people who's inherited their wealth, they don't work, and they're very rich. So you can't automatically make that assumption. And we do have a progressive tax system. So if you're making over $1 million a year, and we go back, you know, taxes are at the lowest point in 60 years right now. We go back a couple years, so what?
How does the government decide? This is a ridiculous argument, Skinner.
Here we go.
But we love you and we welcome you here. And we like when you stir the pot. How does the government decide where to draw the line? Nancy would give the government the power to decide how much is too much and that the government should just take it from them.
$250 million, Nancy, $2 million. This has gotten so old. Here we go again with dividing the classes, attacking the rich to fix the spending problems we have in Washington. We've gone over this a million times, Nancy. I know you have too. A lot of these are small businesses. This is just another swipe from D.C., another idea to punish, frankly, the American dream. Why bother trying to make $1 million anymore? Just give up, go, you know.
My buddy,
People aren't going to work because their taxes go up.
Not going to make $1 million.
My buddy Glenn Beck always argues that I don't know any poor people that employ other people, but I know a lot of rich people that employ other people, including, you know, this company right here. Investors risking their money, buying the cameras, hiring the staff and the tech people, and putting on these shows. Isn't it insane to assault people who drive the engine of the economy in a recession like this?
Yeah, as you know, Judge, I've been an entrepreneur for 10 years now. I'm involved in a number of businesses and have employed people for a number of years. I can tell you point blank that $250,000 a year for a business owner that has an LLC, that person is not rich. And raising their taxes or consistently threatening to raise their taxes creates a tremendous amount of trepidation and fear amongst business owners.
Are the Democrats back to their class warfare, Nancy Skinner? Hate the rich, eat the rich, take what you can from them?
You know what? You guys have been deficits. Okay, so there has to be a formula to fix it. And yes, let's go back to where the Clinton years, where everybody was doing well. Just that's all we're talking about. Going back to the Clinton years, we are at the lowest tax rates in 60 years. We have to balance our deficit. Everyone has to sacrifice. Why should the guy who works 14-hour days pay more, and some CEO that makes $10 million pay less?
We have the highest corporate tax rate in the world, Nancy. The highest. You can't tell me that taxes are low.
Personal taxes.
When corporate tax rates went up in Illinois, why did Amazon and all the companies that work with it, or many of the companies that work with it, leave? When you can decide and determine where freedom is by the place to which people go.
That's right.
GE paid zero taxes, okay? So corporations, no matter what the tax rate is, they find ways to pay no tax.
It's easier than ever to relocate your business any place on the planet.
We're going to talk about Exxon. Oil company CEOs pleaded their case for saving their tax breaks on Capitol Hill today. Well, big oil companies say eliminating the tax breaks unfairly singles out the oil industry and will cost Americans jobs. Is this true? And what happens to the gas prices if the tax breaks go up? Camille, to you first. I think this is a bit of a libertarian conundrum. We don't believe that the government should have this level of taxation to begin with.
Sure.
But we do believe the taxes should be fair, that the government shouldn't take an industry and give them some sort of a tax break and take another industry and tax them higher.
Right.
Having said that, taxing the oil companies when gas is $4 a gallon and unemployment is at 9% and we're in a recession? Are the Democrats crazy?
It doesn't make any sense at all. But it's interesting. I mean, in my home state of Maryland, my governor is talking about doing exactly the same thing, except more directly. He wants to raise the fuel tax in Maryland. It's totally asinine to consider persecuting these companies, essentially raising their taxes in some roundabout way in order to get more gas.
Nancy, I want to see if there's common ground between you and me. Can we get rid of all special favors and all special breaks for all industry and tax everybody equally?
Yeah, why should we subsidize the oil industry, the wealthiest industry on the planet? But I don't.
Are you
Judge,
also willing
I
to
do
give up
think
the green
that
subsidies?
we do need to incent renewable energy technologies.
We
do need to invest in those.
For green.
They're not just going after oil, Judge. They're going after ethanol as well. And remember, ethanol that's corn-based. That's supposed to be more, somewhat of a green energy. Yeah. So they're spreading around. The oil companies are an easy political target. That's right. All this is. That's all that we've seen in Washington. They want to go after them to make up for their own mistakes.
Nancy, according to the Congressional Budget Office, we'll accept their numbers for the sake of this argument. The oil companies make about 7 cents a gallon in profit.
Wow.
In Hawaii, in New York, and in California, where the state taxes are the highest, the government makes 88 cents a gallon per profit. So who's keeping the price of oil up? The investors and the executives at the oil companies, or the politicians who are tormenting them today in Washington?
Mm-hmm.
I think you're probably referring to the retail. The gas station owners make very little margin. Oil companies had $13 billion in the first. ExxonMobil
7 cents a gallon
Exxon
makes.
It is OPEC and it is speculators that keep the prices of oil. They take any excuse in the Middle East, and it is the speculators.
It's always greed. No,
and
Nancy,
OPEC.
this actually boils down to supply and demand. It's quite simple. This is economics that we're talking about here. It's not boogeymen. It's not speculators. It's supply and demand.
We've got about 30 seconds. You get
Without a futures market, that would be the case. But there's a futures market.
We have the same argument every spring when gas prices go up. Washington starts to yell about it. Nothing ever happens. It works like this every spring. Nothing's going to get passed. None of these ideas today are ever going to go anywhere.
I think what happened today was an unforgivable charade. And if I had been the lawyers for those executives, I would have said, go, comply with the subpoena, and then assert your right to remain silent. Nancy Skinner, Camille Foster, Cheryl Casoni, thank you very much for joining us.